Move on to item 9, just while our team make their way forward. I just want to acknowledge we've got some AUT journalism students here today, so warm welcome, and I hope we're providing inspiration and hope. I also hope that we're encouraging you to continue your journalistic career with this kōrero and rather wonderful series of items that we're dealing with. So you're very, very welcome. Puro.
Kia ora tātou katoa, ko Parul Takuengoa. I would also like to introduce Sophie Brookbank, who is from the waste planning team. Before we take any questions, I just wanted to make a few points. Aucklanders care deeply about the issue of plastic waste, and this came through really clearly through the waste plan and the long-term plan as well. In New Zealand, we go through an enormous amount of plastic bags, something like 750 million of them every year. So single-use plastic bags may not be the biggest source of marine pollution, but it is right up there. And putting measures for them, for their phasing out, is considered as the first step to addressing the wider issue. It is a great way to start the engagement with the community, because this is something that impacts each and every consumer. And I think we've got some great alternative options that are affordable out there. I'm not going to go into the detail in terms of the impact that, the negative impacts that the bags have when they get littered, or even in our recycling collections. But I just want to highlight one point that the consultation document also makes, is that even if you discard it in your rubbish bin, it goes to a landfill. But that's not the end of it. Because it's light, it does get blown away. And quite a few of those bags end up as litter. The landfills have got screening around them, but even besides that, it might mitigate it, but it does not get rid of it completely. The other point that I want to make that is also highlighted in the document, and some of the boards have talked about it, is how would this impact consumers on lower, who are part of our lower economics and cannot afford the long life bags. The government proposes to work with the retailers to look at practical ways of bringing the community on board. We do that already, and also if you look at some of our communities, there is really fantastic things happening. Just thinking about a couple in Titirangi and Papakura, they are adopting concepts like boomerang bags. So you use a bag, bring it back, and so you don't really need to own one. So just reflecting on the key points of our submission, so we are saying we support the proposal to a total and mandatory ban. The ban should apply to all retailers, so we're not saying it's just to the big ones, but also to the small ones as well, because an incomplete ban would be less effective. And we are saying that we support the proposed 6-month phase-out time frame. We've had a good amount of feedback received from the local boards, 13 of them, and I think we've just shared the detailed feedback with you this morning. It's been really heartening to see what they are saying. Most of them have been quite supportive. Minor concerns raised around the issue of the 6-month transition and proposals around making that longer to make sure retailers that are smaller can cope, and also just making sure communities that aren't able to buy the long life ones have some mechanisms of coping with it. So I guess, so in the submission, we are encouraging the minister to do more in this space, because this is, as we see, as just a starting point for making a difference with plastic waste. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Parul. So first of all, we'll take questions, then comments. Question, Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, I've just got a question around the financial implications, and I think what your work is very, very good. My question is around the plastic bags we provide as Auckland Council for, I might put this wrong, doggy doo-doo bags.
Doggy doo-doo.
What are they called?
Dog.
Dog. Dog.
Caca bags. They're called caca bags.
You know the bags I mean. They're plastic. So how are we going to phase? Are we going to phase these out? What is our attitude to those bags that we provide for dog owners?
We just have to note, councillor, there's only a very few places where they get provided.
Yeah.
They sure as hell don't get provided in West Auckland, that's for
Well, they
sure.
do in
So-
our
It's a legacy Auckland City.
It is, so let's just not, before we get too carried away by kaka bags and where they are, this is a very
What would you
select
call them,
group
Madam
of
Chair?
places where they're provided.
Okay, it's a French word for poo.
Through you, Ma-
my multilingual experience is going up by the minute.
Through you, Madam Chair, this proposal only is concentrating on shopping bags. So it is bags which have handles. It is not going into any of the other packaging types that we may have. So this is not, the doggy doo-doo bags are not considered as part of the submission.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. My next question though, a lot of dog owners, you do use plastic bags though. What do you think, what are we doing about protecting the ongoing practical implications of when dog owners use a supermarket bag currently? What are we doing around education, the potential flow on around that? So what will they use?
Bread bags.
Through you, Madam Chair, as Councillor Hills just said, there are other packaging types that are quite suitable for that activity. And I am a dog owner myself, and we've got we actually get the roll of,
The dog bone
yes,
thing?
that's right,
Yeah.
which I see a lot of people using just for that purposes. But you do have a lot of packaging in your house that you can actually use for the doggy do.
Yeah.
Just interested in
Great
that.
reuse for other kinds of packaging. We can put that on our website, clever ways that you can reuse other bits of packaging for picking up dog poo. Let's get our clever people out there thinking about that. Other questions on this? All comments. We'll move to, I'm happy to move the recommendations. If there's a seconder for that, Mayor Goff. Comments on this? We've talked about this exhaustively.
Yep.
We've had the community advocate to us. We've got people wanting to make this happen. Councillor John Walker.
Yes, Madam Chairman. I went to the supermarket last night and they've got around the plastic bag issue. What they're doing is they're issuing for 15 cents a heavy duty plastic bag now. So what I'm saying is it's quite a smart, because in the past they would have had to give the other ones away free and it would have cost them money. Now they're actually charging you for it and it meets the requirement. So what I'm saying is they haven't,
Yep.
we're very cunning.
Yep, indeed. Councillor Stewart.
I can do one better, John. I went to the New World in Howick, and they actually had really heavy-duty brown paper bags like we used to, our mothers and
Yes.
our parents
Grandmothers.
and grandmothers used to use, and you had to pay 20 cents, no,
Mothers, I used
15
to.
cents for the brown paper bag, the heavy brown paper bag if you've got. So maybe the doggy doos could go into little brown heavy-duty paper bags as well.
I can see the meeting be completely subverted by discussion of doggy do. We might
Yeah.
just call that to a halt to that. Any other non-doggy do related issues? Councillor Darby, please bring us back to the
Yeah,
case
thanks.
in point.
Look, probably when I read it, I thank the staff for this report, and it's good to see that the chair and the mayor are moving and seconding this. The definition of the bag is the worrying thing for me. I don't think that definition goes wide enough. It's got to be a bag with handles. It's fine to, close down the bags at supermarkets and other retailers at the checkout, but within the store they are dispensing
Yeah.
thousands of bags without handles, and they are equally damaging in the environment. Those soft plastics, we well know that marine species ingest. So I'm just wondering if we need to strengthen our submission and asking government to go wider in terms of its definition. I think that currently that definition is too narrow.
Okay. Can I just take some advice? I wondered if it did pick up the very fine plastic pads. Can we just make our submission pick that up? Because I agree.
Through you, Madam Chair, the proposal is very targeted towards the shopping bag side of things, where people are buying product and putting it into a bag and taking it back. And the idea there is that you have an alternative to it, so you do not need that. And I guess I think we are recommending that we can make a point that we're very keen on all packaging types and what alternatives can exist there.
Yeah.
So that we can put that in our submission and make sure that's taken on board. But I think from what I read from the consultation document, they're seeing this as a first step
Yeah.
in that direction.
Well, I guess I want to stress that many countries have taken these first steps and they're taking the second and third and fourth steps. And there's some urgency around this.
Right.
So I would urge that we strengthen it considerably. Some retailers are doing this, they're proactive and they're making the moves. Others we know we will have to drag them kicking. The industry will not respond. And it's only because, I mean, the industry is only responding now because it's becoming topical. It is being discussed in media and politicians are discussing it. But there are some supermarket chains, some branches are using the paper bags that the Councillor Stewart refers to in their, say, vegetable section. Other branches are not. It's just thousands of light plastic bags. So, look, I think it would be really helpful if we were a bit more ambitious here, and it is, and that's not to say it's not ambitious. I would like it to go even stronger,
Yep.
and
We can make that change, councillor. I think that's a very good idea. Little life hack. If you forget your string bags, go to the mushroom section. The paper bags are in the mushroom section. Use those instead of the light, transparent plastic bags that they provide. The more of us that do that, the more people will realise that that's actually what people want, and we need to just get rid of those light, flimsy plastic bags. So Councillor Darby will pick that point up in our amendment. I've got Councillor Walker, then Mayor Goff.
I was just wanting to speak to Chris's comment, and I just endorse that. Let's do it right. Let's do it once. And just on those bags that Chris refers to, frankly, phasing them out is even simpler because generally they're going inside another bag.
Yep.
So issues around strength and the like are even less significant. And for those bags, there are already direct substitutes that exist in the form of paper bags or cornstarch type bags. So they're an easy fruit to pluck off the tree.
Indeed.
thank you.
Mayor Goff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to pick up on recommendation C, which is nominating a representative to speak to the submission. And I'd like to nominate you, Madam Chair, if you're happy to do that. Hopefully they'll bring the committee to Auckland rather than having to send you down to Wellington. But just to make a couple of very broad comments, 2 years ago in the Merrill campaign, I campaigned on eliminating plastic bags, and it was surprising the number of people said, oh, that'll be dreadfully unpopular, why are you doing that? And it shows you how quickly we've moved forward. Sometimes they say it's wrong to be right too soon. I don't think we're being right too soon. I think we've taken our time to get here, and therefore I acknowledge Councillor Darby's point. But one of the first things I did after being elected was to go to talk to Progressive and Foodstuffs, and neither of those companies were in the least bit interested in self-regulating at that point. And they told me they had some sympathy to the idea, but one of them, I think Foodstuffs, had tried it a couple of years ago, and the other company had got the edge on them, and it just wasn't possible. So in the space of 2 years, we've seen a huge change. This is really worthwhile. Of course it's worthwhile to pull out 750 million plastic bags that are going into the environment and into landfill. But we've still got a very long way to go. If you look at what is filling the stomachs of seabirds and fish, there's a range of different products. And, you know, a lot of people around this room will be wearing clothes that are synthetic, and even more people will have carpets at home that are synthetic. And that may not be a bad thing for our farming industry, Deputy Mayor, that we go back and we look at the use of natural products. But this is the first step in quite a long journey if we are to have a truly circular economy and we are to have a sustainable way of dealing with our resources. But I want to thank Parul and the team for the great job that they've done on this. I think we should be ahead of the pack and just pushing the envelope a little bit further on some of the other plastic bags. But we shouldn't be complacent at the end of this process when they've regulated against it. We're now going to have to look at a range of other products that were seen as the brave new world of the future using plastic. When the world I grew up in, paper bags actually were regarded as a perfectly acceptable way of picking up your groceries. And it will be back to the future, and we'll be looking at more sustainable ways of doing it. But very happy to not only second the motion, Madam Chair, but to move you as the spokesperson at the Select Committee to present our submission.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for your leadership on this. Councillor Collins.
Kia ora, Chair, thanks. I just wanted to make the note, and thank you for pointing it out to 28 in the council submission, just around the challenges that poorer communities will face. When the Minister and the Prime Minister made the announcement on TV, Daryl Evans, who's from the Mangere Budgeting Centre, which also runs the one in Otara, talked about how we do better to work with poorer communities to make sure that they've got bags that they can use for their shopping. And I just wanted to remind people that we've got kids going to school out south who carry their lunches and their stationery in plastic bags, and so this is going to be quite a shift for some of these families. I note that the report says you want to work with groups that have got some funding from the Waste Minimisation Innovation Fund, and I think that's really good. They need to be key in how we educate and partner with a lot of these families that use plastic bags, not just for lining our bins, which is what I do at home, but who are actually for kids who carry their lunches and their school equipment in those plastic bags. So I think there's got to be, Chair, if I could encourage you when you speak to this, just to remind them of the equitable outcomes we want to seek for some of our communities as well. Thank you.
Kia ora, and thank you, Councillor Collins. And I know this issue's been raised a lot. And one of the issues that we're looking at, the Mayor referenced the fact that we're drowning in fabric. We're worried about plastic, but we have fabric, tons and tons and tons of it going into our landfills every year. The opportunity to create boomerang bags and alternatives is huge. We need to get that cloth out of the landfills and be making those kids' bags to carry their equipment and whatever else they need. And that can be done for free. It can be done by social enterprise. It can be done by a variety of organisations, and that's how we need to be thinking, rather than simply presuming that some of our communities under stress don't deserve better. So I think we need to tackle that head on. And I just want to give a bit of a shout out to Kerry Hannafin from Countdown. The Mayor's right. It was very, very hard to even get the discussion going. Kerry's been an absolute breath of fresh air. She's the one who, like a tornado, went through Countdown and said, just get rid of those damn plastic straws and just do it. So, there are, within the corporate sector, some very good people acting as a force for good. No more questions, no more comments. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Parole and team. It's appreciated.